me a heads up on that.
6:30.
I know. Hey.
Alright, so the first thing on the agenda for the workshop is, need to assign a address to the new future site of the water wastewater shop, and that's the yellow building right by the helipad. I'm looking at 114 Old Highway 60 Southwest. We are not going to be splitting any parcels, this will be a secondary, address on the parcel, so. Anybody have any objections with 114 Old Highway 60? Helipad has an address, the yellow shed has an address, the DAF plant and the lift station have an address, but it's all another address, if that makes sense. And it's all for utility reasons.
Right, but this address coincides with the other two.
The best that we can do. If you look at Brad Haynes's and then Lighting's, which I'm not really understanding why Lighting's doesn't have like a fire department or like a
Fire address.
fire address because they're not in the city limits technically,
Yeah.
but they do have a regular, so I think theirs is like, I can't even remember what their address, but it does, it falls in line all the way to Bodie's on the
That was
corner.
never annexed in or anything like that, because like there's some over in St. James I know that are on 11th South that's
I know,
not
like
a blue
Lighting's
number for the county address.
Yeah, so they're not annexed in. So, yeah, it should coincide with that side of the street with the even numbers. Any objections? That's on the agenda tonight. The next thing is the 2022 transfers. That's also on the agenda to approve those. And we're finishing up the audit. We're waiting, Light Plant had their presentation tonight, right, Andy?
Yeah.
Once that one is finalized, then that will allow us to complete our audit and then we'll have our presentation. So these are the transfers that, are for this year, or for 2022. Does anybody have any questions?
So do we approve them? We don't approve them tonight.
Yeah, they're on the agenda, but we're just discussing them if there was any questions or thoughts.
So this is just money being transferred into those accounts then, correct?
Yep, so I'm just gonna point out, when you see, like, the park general to the park capital fund, that 100,000, that's for the fabric building. So, pool general to pool capital fund, right now when we budget that amount to go into the capital fund for, a new pool or an update or something like that. Fire fund to the fire capital fund, that amount is going towards your depreciation schedule in regards to your new rig. We have all that mapped out in regards to what you need to put away. Police fund to police capital fund, same thing, we're projecting for, to rotate our fleet. Water to general and wastewater to general, that's where I wait to the end of the year to see where we sit in that fund. And we have a projection of what we want to transfer over to general, but I wait to see how much we actually have left at the end of the year. So we were able to transfer 75,000 out of the water and 75,000 out of the wastewater into the general. And then we were also able to, out of the wastewater, then transfer over the capital for, fleet or equipment. And right now, the item on the table is the jetter. Thoughts, questions?
The liquor fund to liquor fund 78, is that for building?
Okay, yeah, so that goes into the capital account, so we did $8,000 into that.
Where
because right now we're sitting at, is it over 28,000 in the capital? But really all we wanted to do was get it to enough to change out our compressor. So we're at a point that we have enough in the capital to just kinda hold it and then allocate the rest of the money to either another loan payment, which that's that interfund loan, so we have the interfund loan through the, water fund. And so to allocate that capital amount to pay off maybe a large, 2 payments a year and get ahead.
So on these interfund loans, like between the liquor and then I'd assume that one's out of the water.
Yep. The liquor
Is there
side
an
of
actual amortization schedule?
Mhm.
So we're just paying ahead when we're actually paying directly to or is it like done with a pretty minimal, is there no interest or is it?
The street has a 1% interest rate on their fund. The liquor does not have any interest.
So if they paid it all, I mean, it wouldn't be, other than putting money back into the water fund, it wouldn't be beneficial or non-beneficial for them to pay it back faster or slower.
No, it's just to get it off the books, so,
Right.
to repave back the water fund, make that back to whole, and then get ahead so you can make a larger payment over to the general fund.
Sure.
So this year we were able to do 20,000 over.
And that's a little confusing since, I mean, because of the fact that water's basically giving money to the general and liquor's holding money back from the general to pay water.
All it is
Numbers on a page,
the
everybody.
numbers on a page, and I don't know how to,
What do we still owe on the liquor?
I was gonna ask that question
wasn't
actually.
it 280,000?
Okay.
But I can jump up and grab the amortization. It's in between 280 and 300.
What's the step, when is that supposed to be paid off and what's the?
We're ahead. We're like a year or 2 ahead.
Was that, but that was set up on a 15-year, or was it a 20?
Do you want me? I can
I don't
just grab my
remember,
book.
it was 15 or 20 years, I thought.
And I
it
think
wasn't
we
a full-
projected it back. I think we're less.
Right. But we wanted to see what numbers and everything were gonna look like in the new location.
And if it ever gets to a point that we can't afford what we're doing right now, we can definitely readjust the numbers, but, one thing is, well, why don't you just defer it, because you're just doing an enterprise fund to an enterprise fund, but really, I think it's only fair that one, it needs infrastructure. I don't think we should defer it. I think we need to pay the one back to the other to make sure our infrastructure is strong and that we continue to go on.
Right, I think, well,
The other part that's important about this, to me anyway, is that what's paying for what?
right.
It's an accountability.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly
We
right,
know where it's
exactly
going and
right.
how it's handled. If we do this, we can answer to the public what happened to the funds, how are they taken care of,
Yeah.
how were they appropriated? Did they make any money on it, for just a 1% interest for the inconvenience of playing with the books?
Yep. But, so, if you want me to go grab anything, I can.
No, that's fine.
Yep,
Okay.
we're good.
Any other questions on that?
My only other question is, other than that loan, are there other transfers being accounted for here between water and wastewater, or not really, everything's accounted for on this list? There wasn't any other money that was borrowed from one to the other that's being paid back that's not being accounted for in this transfer list, or is it all kinda there?
The only one, but, there was a few other ones that were already done prior. I think it was in November, if we go back to November.
Completed.
That would've had the street.
Oh,
The street has a loan out in the water fund, and we did that one already.
okay.
Okay, you wanna move on?
Sure.
Okay. Planning commission meeting is scheduled for tomorrow at 5 o'clock. This is, one of the meetings that we need to do. We need to meet once a month, the planning commission does, kind of like a scheduled meeting. This meeting, on the agenda will have a sale of city-owned property policy. This policy is being developed, due to obviously the sale of properties in the past, and we need to put a procedure in place if there is no for sale sign out on the property. And so it goes through the series of what is required from the person that is interested in purchasing the property, and that is, a formal written letter to the council in regards to their name, the parcel ID, the reason why they want to purchase it, their amount that they want to purchase it for. Then that goes to the council, or it goes to the commission, the planning commission first, and then it goes to the departments to see if there's any municipal reason that we need to keep the property. If we don't see any problem with it on our comprehensive plan and through the planning commission, and if the departments don't need it for municipal reasons, and then it goes to the council. After the council has taken a look at it, then it goes to advertising, and it gets advertised in the local paper for any other bids for the property, which allows other people to bid on the property also, and then it comes back to council. But there's an actual policy that's being developed in regards to any property that we have that does not have a for sale sign on it. And then the other thing is we currently have a request to purchase some city-owned property that the planning commission will be discussing and going over the policy to understand why it's being developed, and if there's anything that we have to fine tune or tweak or whatever. And then once the planning commission is done with that, it'll come to council for approval on the policy. The other thing in the agenda is all the current building projects and the land use permits that are currently out there. The sidewalks by Faith Church and on the private property we'll be discussing at the planning commission, and I have talked to Kathy about that. And then there is a lot split request, and so we'll go over the building or the ordinance in regards to what is required, and just to kind of educate you guys on all of this prior to it actually coming to public hearing or council.
I think having the policy is gonna be great, because then we know as a council what, if somebody comes up and asks, we can inform them. Kinda like with the whole, property up by, Crystal Valley up there.
Yep.
I didn't know that it was not for sale.
Yep, exactly. And, there was formal letters written in for other property purchases, and those actually, I need those for documentation. People can't just say things, there needs to be some formal request, and it needs to be evaluated for, the planning commission for the comprehensive plan. Is this the best for the city? Is this the plan for where we wanna go with everything? And then the other thing is the departments, like, were they thinking that this is where we're gonna expand, or what we need, or who knows if we wanted to drill well there, I don't know. So I feel that it has to go through all those hands prior to coming here, but then it also needs to be advertised so people have the opportunity, and there's no.
This is awesome. The only thing I see missing, and maybe now is not the time, but to put it on the table so we can consider it at some future point, is the planning and zoning plan for the city of Madelia writ large.
And the comprehensive.
Yeah, the comprehensive plan. I don't see that mentioned here.
No, and we need to.
I mean, are we not putting the cart a little before the horse when we start talking about
But we
sale of
have to
property?
get the policy, because I already have a request
Oh,
for
okay,
purchase.
okay.
And
Track
so
it.
but we need to discuss, and that's why we need to meet every month,
Yep.
at least once a month, to discuss what is the plan for the future. Where are we going with everything?
No, I get it, I understand that. The only reason, my concern is, we've been a little bit of cherry picking when it comes to how we rezone things.
I
and
know,
We'll get to that, but I understand why this is here now.
okay,
Thank you.
yep.
The other question would be the properties that we're actively marketing, you're not gonna change the way that we're selling those? Or if we
Because
decide
that's-
to actively market a property through request for proposal, we're gonna basically leave that as a one-off or a similar process?
That is advertised all the time. So the properties, we have 10 lots currently, are you talking like the 10 lots that were?
Well, or I'm talking like a situation like the old city hall where we're actually looking for a redevelopment, you know, where it's a little different process than just a plain for sale, you know what I mean?
So there's,
So if there's anything like that, I think we should have, as council, have the option to, you know, request for proposal instead of just, this is the, you know, policy for selling property.
no, this is the policy for somebody coming
Just,
in, just
just
saying,
for
just not even
unadvertised properties.
unadvertised property just out of the blue, I just wanna.
So if I wanna buy the lot next door,
Yeah, in the corner.
I come in and go through this process.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions?
No, thank
But
you.
I just really wanted to point out how this planning and zoning, or planning commission is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. But I think this will help us discuss, get more educated, and get a plan how to move forward, so. Number 4, I have a site meeting, scheduled for the Fabric Building this week. I did need to see if it was gonna flood or not, but we should be fine this week, so, Greystone will be out this week to look over the site down by the clubhouse for the new Fabric Building. And then the only other thing that I have that I need to add is number 5 is, Cody, you see that proclamation in front of you?
Yeah.
That is an added thing to the agenda tonight. It's proclamation resolution 2023-10. It's declaring the month of April Child Abuse Prevention Month. So that would be the only other added thing to the agenda. Anything else you guys wanna add, talk about?
So on the proclamation, we're a third of the way into the month.
I know, they
So-
sent it, when did they send it, Heather? We didn't have a council meeting at the beginning.
Yeah.
They may have sent it
Who-
April 1st.
And I apologize, you probably said this, who's the they?
Heather?
Tasha I'd have to look it up.
What agency?
Was it the county?
Okay, I'm just curious. It's not on us, I mean, I looked at my watch and I'm like, we're a third of the way through the month. It's not that important.
Oh, yeah,
It's
so.
very important. Protecting the children, Glenn, come on.
No, I get that, I'm wondering is there initially, is there something we could have done better to?
You don't wanna see that headline.
We're really good.
Do we wanna close the workshop then?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can go
Need
ahead.
a motion to close the workshop.
I saw a motion, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.